We want to welcome you back into 11 Alive News at 4 as we come up on 4:30. And it's been a year since that shooting at Apalachee High School, a tragedy that left deep scars across Barrow County. And tonight, families and students, they are finding ways to honor the victims and continue their own healing. Ron Jones is joining us live tonight in Winder with how the community is remembering such a difficult day. Hey, Ron.
It really has been, Faith. So as soon as I got here, a young man ran up to me. I thought he was a student, but he says, "I'm just here to honor the victims." He graduated last year remotely because he was here during that tragic day. But he said, "I still feel a connection to this family, a connection to this high school." And that is why he is here to honor them tonight. And tonight, this is all about honoring the lives of the students, Mason Schermerhorn and also Christian Angelo, along with teachers Christina Irami and Coach Rick Aspinwall, whose lives were taken way too soon. And the loss also weighed very heavy on Apalachee's head coach, Mike Hancock. Aspinwall was his assistant coach at the time and a very close friend. Hancock finished the previous school year elsewhere and now coaches at Loganville High School. And he says the shooting left him battling depression and PTSD, but leaning on his faith and community helped him to move forward.
God placed me in that position. He didn't place me in that position to go 18-0. He placed me in that position, to lead during that time. And during that time, I leaned on my faith. Love will prevail. And I think that showed there's a lot of love and there's a lot of genuine care in that community, and there still is.
Hancock says that the love within the Apalachee community continues to stand out even through all of this pain. So the shooting also put a huge spotlight on school safety and gun access. One bill passed, but other proposals are still stalled. For that and more, let's go to 11 Alive Doug Richards. He joins us live from the Capitol. So, Doug, what happened to those proposals aimed at keeping guns out of the hands of teenagers at home?
Well, it's worth remembering, Ron, that in the weeks and months after Apalachee, reporters would periodically ask Governor Brian Kemp what sort of law could be written in response to what happened at Apalachee, and he would typically respond by saying he did not want to politicize that event and didn't really want to talk about it in detail. Weeks passed, the legislature convened, a bunch of gun bills were introduced, and the Republican leadership followed suit by mostly disregarding them. When Georgia's House Speaker John Burns got behind a bill to fortify the safety of schools from intruders and weapons, it got bipartisan support in the aftermath of the Apalachee High School shooting. The law, signed with fanfare by Governor Brian Kemp, did nothing to restrict gun access.
None of the gun safety bills I have sponsored in the past 5 years in the legislature have passed.
This year, Democrat Michelle Au introduced House Bills 1 through 4, gun bills that encouraged or required the safe storage of guns, plus a background check and a waiting period for gun buyers. Au's 4 bills were among 29 gun bills introduced during the last legislative session. Not a single gun bill passed. Most didn't even get a committee hearing.
Certainly the inclination from the Conservative Party is that any restriction on gun ownership is viewed unfavorably.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
One bill that did get a hearing showed how protective some Republicans are of gun rights, even just months after Apalachee.
What we're trying to do is respond to business concerns.
A gun rights Republican had dropped HB 472, a bill that would have allowed the Georgia World Congress Center to keep guns out of Centennial Olympic Park during concerts. The 420 Festival had declined to book the park because the law prevented it from barring guns.
I'm not concerned about guns.
Republican lawmakers were mostly alarmed.
Second Amendment rights is a very precious thing. The Second Amendment is can be so misconstrued and can be changed.
Republican Alan Powell moved to snuff the bill before a public hearing could even start.
I would make a motion for a do not pass recommendation.
To the disbelief of Democrats.
But you did a do not pass?
So that puts us out of our misery and we can get on to other issues.
The committee tabled the Republican-backed pro-business gun bill. Lawmakers were willing to fortify schools, but without gun legislation.
It allowed people's sort of urgency around the issue to fade, and people did tend to settle back into the more sort of partisanized talking points.
And it's worth noting that of the 29 bills, there were a handful of Republican bills that also got introduced and got disregarded by the leadership. All those bills will still be alive when the second year of the biennial legislative session convenes in January. Live at the Capitol, Doug Richards, 11 Alive News.
All right, Doug, thanks a lot for that perspective, and thanks for staying on top of that for us at the Capitol. By the way, as a community reflects 1 year later, vigils are being held tonight to honor the lives lost here at Apalachee High School. So coming up tonight at 7, people will meet right here at the school, gathering at the flagpole for a candlelight vigil. And then tomorrow, there's going to be another vigil. It's going to be held by the group Change for Chi, started by an Apalachee alum after that tragedy. And folks, our coverage is going to continue tonight at 5 o'clock because we're going to take a closer look at where the case against the accused shooter stands 1 year later. And before I toss it back to you, Faith, I just want to point out over my shoulder, my left shoulder here, you can see that there's a sign, and as you can see, they're also honoring the lives lost here. So even if you don't make it out here to the vigil itself, as you're driving by, you still can honor those victims as well. But we'll see you back here at 5.
Such important information, such a hard story to report on. So many people still healing. A year is not that long ago, and we know that. Ron, thank you so much. We truly appreciate it. And for all of you watching, you can stream our full coverage of the 1 year since the Apalachee High School shooting, including extended interviews. You can find those right now on 11 Alive Plus.